Towards the end of 2013, we visited Tom Lowry's property in Okawa and Brown Rig Agriculture at Taimahanga. They're participating in a future forage farming systems project to test new forage species for dryland farms. The project is being run by On-Farm Research at Pokawa and is funded by Beef and Lamb New Zealand, the Sustainable Farming Fund and Hawke's Bay Regional Council.
What we're looking at is systems that will enable better sustainability of farming in the dryland situation. As we're going through more and more dryland droughts, they're becoming more intense and more frequent. We're looking at methods to improve forages for animal production. If we can produce more high-quality feed through the winter, spring and early summer, farmers will have a much better opportunity of finishing stock rather than selling their stock as stores, which they do now. So the real aim is to get much better production through the winter months, all through the spring and into the early summer. And that's what these annual legumes really excel at. What we're looking at here are three annual clovers that are relatively new to New Zealand. Persian clover, arrowleaf clover and balancer clover. And here on this property we're looking at Persian and arrowleaf. These clovers originated in the Mediterranean and are really rapid growing annuals. They establish in the autumn, sulk a wee bit over early winter and then really pick up and go from late winter through spring and into the summer. What we're doing is measuring the production of the clovers under a range of management regimes. Currently, this mixer clover is doing around about 100 kilos dry matter per hectare per day. This one here is arrowleaf clover, and it gets its name from a very distinctive arrowleaf shape of the leaf. It's sown in Australia and the US in areas where rainfall does not allow white clover to persist. So it is definitely a dryland plant. For comparison, I'll pull out a Persian clover. As you can see here, the Persian has these great big long petioles with a leaf sitting on top, and this one has started to run to stalk. If this paddock had been grazed a bit more, it will have come out in multiple stalks. They respond to grazing and look quite different. You've got all these long petioles left from where the leaves have all been cut off or grazed off the top like that, and it's still capable of putting up more and more leaves. The plants respond to grazing reasonably similarly. They both crown out with grazing, but the thing is that we've noticed so far is you just cannot set stock these plants. If you take the residual down too far, you will in fact remove all the growing points and the plant won't come back. As a long-term proposition, we've got some problems. These are annuals, so they need to set seed and re-establish again the following autumn. Tom is not letting his clovers go to seed and is sowing them every year, and that's working really, really well with them. What we don't know in this environment is how much seed that they will set, how much of it is hard seed and viable for the next year, and also when you've got to close it up to enable reseeding to take place. And that's all part of the research that we're doing in properties around the Hawke's Bay. We're here on a Brown Rig Agriculture property where they are finishing lambs on a mixture of plantain and legumes. Here we have plantain with arrowleaf balancer clovers, but also with red clover and white clover. The idea is that the annual legumes, the arrowleaf and the balancer clover, are just for 1 year, and then in the outgoing years, hopefully about 4 years of persistence of the sward, it'll be clover, white clover and red clover will be in the sward.
The interest in the dryland trials for us, for these high-performing pastures, is the fit they have with our systems. Hawke's Bay obviously being very summer dry. Our summers are always an issue for pasture persistence, and having a high-quality feed available for our stock through consecutive winters is quite important. So we're very keen to see how these trials work and use them on our livestock hill country, easy hill country, to increase the productivity of our land programs. The reason that the plantain clover mixture is such a good fit is the ability to grow high quality feed throughout the winter and early spring and even into the late spring, which extends our lamb program. Traditionally, we run into a bit of an issue with trying to finish tail end lambs or lighter lambs later in our season, and this really just fits the gap. But it also works for us because of its winter production and its ability to outgrow our new permanent pastures that we have traditionally used. Our initial trials showed a reduction in costs of about $130 a hectare, but it depends on the piece of land, the work we have to do, the preparation. We're coming more and more to the conclusion that we should spend a little bit more money up front, establish a really good high quality feed and get the life out of it instead of cutting corners earlier on.
What we wanted to see here was how complementary the annual clovers are with plantain, and we've been very, very pleasantly surprised. The plantain is quite erect, and the balancer clover and the Persian clover are occupying all of the spaces in between the upright leaves, so it's complete cover the whole time. The lambs are doing very well. Currently, we're averaging just under 300 grams a day from our indicator animals, which are actually the tail enders in the flock, so we expect the others to be doing a little bit over. The plantain clovers have been growing at just over 80 kilograms dry matter per hectare per day for the last 6 weeks, since the end of September. It's been maintaining that level, so we haven't seen a peak. It's just stayed flat the whole way through at quite a high rate.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.